Hi, hello, salam, welcome back to another video. Finally, I have upgraded my phone and here's my review. So I have been using the iPhone 13 Pro for the last few weeks now, and I must say I've been extremely impressed with it. So there has been some significant changes since the 11 Pro came out. Moving away from the curved chassis to now having sharp edges, a more box-like design. A bit of a reminiscent to the iPhone 4 or 5, if you remember that far that is. Now if you already own an iPhone 12, then the design to the chassis doesn't really matter because it's exactly the same. Apart from the smaller notch and the bigger camera bump, which I will get into a bit later on. So with the design itself, the 13 Pro is much thicker than the 11 Pro that I have. I really love the feel of it in my hands. Apple, in my opinion, does a fantastic job building premium phones, and the iPhone 13 Pro doesn't disappoint. The smooth and glossy stainless steel band gives it that premium look and feel. The downside to that is it attracts a lot of fingerprints. But the question is, how many of you actually rock your phone naked? It has a slick matte glass finish at the back, which gives it a little extra grip if you decide to rock your phone without a case. The only thing I dislike is the color though. For years now we have associated black with either space gray or now graphite. It's time Apple introduces a pure black iPhone, especially for the Pro models. Do you agree? Let me know in the comment section below. Also let me know in the comment section below what other colors you would like Apple to introduce. Moving on to the brain of the phone now. All the 13 models now come equipped with the A15 Bionic chip, but the Pros come with a 5-core GPU, which is one extra than the normal 13s, which means the phone will be much smoother and should be able to handle better graphic performances. Compared to the iPhone 11 Pro, I straight away realized the power of the 13 Pro as soon as I switched on the phone. It's so smooth, responsive, above all of that, it's so fast. And since I've been using it for the past few weeks, I have had no issues whatsoever with performances. The battery in the 13 Pro is a huge upgrade, and I've noticed that straight away comparing it to the 11 Pro. With the 11 Pro, I used to find my phone dying around about 6 p.m. I was left with about 10-15% battery and I had to always put it in charge. The 13 Pro, pretty much on a heavy use, the same thing that I was doing with the 11 Pro, I can go easily 24 hours. For those of you that are very light users, you can easily probably get 2 days out of the phone. So one of the big features that Apple banged on about in their keynotes was the introduction of ProMotion. Now in simple terms, what ProMotion is that all the iPhone 13 Pro models get 120 Hz refresh rate on their screen. What that means is it's much smoother, much faster compared to the older generation of phones, which are only 60 Hz. Now for an average user of their phones, they might not be able to see the difference. Trust me when I say this, as soon as I switched on the 13 Pro for the first time to set up the phone, I straight away noticed the 120 Hz in play. But the icing on the cake from Apple is that they've made that refresh rate adaptive. What that means is if you're, say for example, reading a text or you're viewing a static image of your photos, the screen does not go to 120 Hz. It goes as low as 10 Hz. And what that ultimately does is saves you tons and tons of battery. Now you can imagine if your phone was continuously running on 120 Hz all the time, even if you were reading a plain text or you were just browsing images, your battery will die in no time. So what Apple have done is very clever. Don't get me wrong, 60 Hz is fine because the way they've optimized their phone is to be smooth anyway. But having that extra 120 Hz, in my opinion, makes the Pro phone a Pro phone to use. And lastly, the screen is much brighter now if I'm comparing it to the 11 Pro, and slightly brighter from the 12 Pros if any of you have it. It now maxes out at 1200 nits, which should make it easier for you to see in the daylight out in the beaming sun. Of course, you don't need to worry about it if you live in the UK like I do, because we hardly get the sun. Moving on to the cameras, and oh my god, have these cameras been upgraded or what? So the triple camera system on the back of the 13 Pro has had a massive upgrade, both in quality and in the size. Now compare it to the 11 Pro, you can see how massive that camera bump is. That's because Apple have upgraded all 3 camera sensors, and that's probably the main reason why I decided to upgrade this year. So the top telephoto camera is a 77mm focal length with a 2.0 aperture. The middle is your ultra wide 13mm focal length f1.8 aperture camera, and the bottom camera is your standard wide, which in other words is your main lens. When you open up your camera is now 26mm focal length with a 1.5 aperture, and all cameras are 12 megapixel. So the ultra wide has had an increase in aperture, which means it should let in a lot more light, which should result in better low light images and better noise performance. The ultra wide is also now capable of taking macro shots. In simple terms, what macro means is getting very close to a subject, therefore you can take very creative and super cool photos. Currently there isn't a toggle where you can switch on macro. The way it works now is the closer you move to your subject, the camera automatically switches to a macro mode. However, Apple have said recently that they will be adding that feature on their next software update, so it will be a very good update once we receive it to have that option of toggling on macro or not. And finally, coming on to your standard wide, which like I said is your main lens that you would use to take photos. This now has a better aperture, which should result in better quality of pictures, especially during the night time, because it is letting in a lot more light compared to the previous models. So I'm looking forward to that feature to test it out. I have some samples, so please do have a look. These were taken quick. I am still testing the lenses out. I'll let you know what I eventually think. So as expected, all the lenses are great to use, and it's incredible to know that you can fit those lenses inside of your pocket. Moving on now to one of the most exciting features when introduced on the keynote, which kind of blew my mind, which was this cinematic mode in your camera. And they hyped it up by saying it's like having Hollywood in your pocket. Now, I won't go too far, I am still testing that, but I will let you know. But ultimately what that actually means is that your videos can now have that bokeh effect. Bokeh, in other words, is having the artificial blur at the background. So with your videos now, you can have that blur like you would have on your portrait mode, for example. But what you can do in cinematic mode is you can choose your own focus point. So say for example, you have 2 faces in the frame, one's looking away and one's looking at the camera. That will pick up the focus, and the other person that's looking away from the camera, they'll be blurred at the background. Sometimes it could work, sometimes it couldn't, but what Apple have done is that they've given you the option in post-production is to go in and edit that. So if for some reason I don't get blurred out when I'm looking away from the camera, then I can manually put that focus on to the other person and it will blur me out. So it's very interesting the way they've introduced this, and obviously because it's something new, it won't be perfect like they did with the portrait mode. I hope in the future they'll make it even better. I've used it once so far when I done my first YouTube shorts about a charity run, and to be honest, I was impressed. And I'm looking at using cinematic mode with a headshot like this one. If you would like to see a full review of the new cameras, then please leave the comment, give us Cine, in the comment section below, and I will look at making a full review just on the camera system for you guys. I want to see, let's say 15, give us Cine comments below and I will make that next video. So if you're upgrading from say 11 or below iPhones, then these next 2 features are new. First, starting off with MagSafe. In other words, MagSafe is something that they've introduced from the 12 series, where they have a magnetic ring behind the phone and you can attach different accessories to it, one of them being the MagSafe charger, which basically was so that you can continue using your phone wirelessly, although it's got a wire. I don't have a MagSafe charger to show you an example, but what it is, it's like a puck. You put it behind your phone and you can still continue to use it. Whereas if you were using a wireless dock, for example, then you'll have to leave it there and let it charge. Probably won't be something that I'll be using. I'll still be using my wireless dock to charge because I think it does the job. There was other accessories like adding Apple Wallet to it. That's something that I've never been into. I don't want to stick my cards on my phone, whether it's a folio case or whether it's the new MagSafe wallet. The only convenient that I find from that is having a car mount which is MagSafe compatible, with a MagSafe compatible case, being able to just dock my phone onto the car without fiddling about with the wires and let it charge. I'll find that very convenient, and that's something that I will be investing in. Unless obviously in the future I'm hoping Apple or third-party companies will come out with some very sick accessories, so we'll have to see. If it ever does, and if I ever do purchase something, I'll make sure I'll be the first to share it with you guys. And the last feature, obviously 5G. We all know what 5G is, so I'm not going to dwell on it too much. 5G is basically way faster. Now, the area that I live in, I've been fortunate enough to have very good 5G signals around me, so when I'm out and about in the area, it gives me fantastic signal. And yes, you do see the speed of 5G, you do notice it straight away. And also because the 13 Pro has the higher refresh rate, it helps as well, so everything just seems smooth. Obviously compared to the 11 Pro, we never had 5G on that. It got introduced from the 12 series and now it's still on the 13 series obviously, so that's something new to look forward to. So the question is, should you upgrade? If you're not due for an upgrade, should you buy the iPhone 13 Pro? Like I said, if you're coming from an 11 Pro or an older generation of iPhones, then the 13 Pro is a fantastic upgrade. All the new features that I've mentioned is gonna blow your mind. I think it's a massive upgrade. You would love it. And this year around with the 13 Pro, Apple, thank you very much, they have not differentiated the models like the 13 Pro and the 13 Pro Max. Both the Pros have the same cameras, the same features. So ultimately it comes down to your choice of if you want a bigger screen with a bigger battery, or you're happy with the smaller screen with slightly smaller battery. Now I went for the 13 Pro, I didn't go for the Max. The battery on the 13 Pro has been so impressive, so I can't really complain. So let me know in the comment section below if you will be purchasing or if you will be upgrading like I did to the 13 Pro. If you are, which Pro will you be choosing? Which color will you be going for? And which storage size you will be going for? Let me know in the comment section below. And that is it, guys. This was a very brief review of the iPhone 13 Pro that I have been using for the past few weeks now. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the journey to see more review videos like this one, and hit that bell icon so you never miss any of my future videos. Till next time, stay safe, stay blessed, peace.